Look at your watch. Note the time. Right now. This second. That moment you just experienced? According to physics, it doesn't exist. Not in the way you think. Now is not a universal thing. Your now and my now are different. Not slightly different. Fundamentally different. Someone on a spaceship moving away from Earth right now, there now includes events in your past or your future. Not seems like, actually is. And here's what breaks everything. All of it exists. Your past, your future, this moment, they're all equally real, happening simultaneously in a four-dimensional structure called spacetime. You think time flows, past to present to future, but Einstein proved it doesn't. Time is a dimension, like space, and dimensions don't flow, they just exist. The flow of time is an illusion, a trick of consciousness, and when you understand why, when you see the actual structure of reality, everything changes. This is what Feynman taught. Not comfortable ideas, not reassuring philosophy, the actual physics of temporal reality, and I'm going to show you exactly how we know this is true. If your brain is already resisting this idea, drop a comment right now, because we're about to prove it. Isaac Newton believed in absolute time, universal time, a cosmic clock ticking in the background of reality. 1 second for you equals 1 second for me, equals 1 second everywhere in the universe. Simultaneously, this made sense. If you drop a ball in New York at noon, and I drop a ball in Tokyo at noon, those events happen at the same time, simultaneously. Obvious. Newton's physics worked perfectly with this assumption. Force equals mass times acceleration. Acceleration is change in velocity over time, but this only works if time is the same for everyone. If time is absolute, and for 200 years it was. Every experiment confirmed it. Planets orbited exactly as predicted. Projectiles fell exactly as calculated. Time seemed universal and absolute. Then came Maxwell. James Clerk Maxwell wrote down the equations for electricity and magnetism. 4 equations. Beautiful, elegant, and buried in them was something unexpected. Light travels at a fixed speed, 299,792,458 meters per second. Not fixed relative to some medium, not fixed relative to the source. Just fixed, period. Here's the problem, and this is where physics started to break. You're standing still, you shine a flashlight. Light moves at 299,792,458 meters per second away from you. Fine. Now you're on a train moving at half the speed of light. You shine the flashlight forward. Common sense says, speed of light plus speed of train should be faster than 299,792,458 meters per second, but it's not. It's still exactly 299,792,458 meters per second. Always. For everyone. No matter how fast you're moving. Think about how impossible that sounds. You're moving at half light speed. You shine a light forward. And somehow, impossibly, the light is still only moving at light speed relative to you. Not 1.5 times light speed, just light speed. Physicists tried to explain this. Maybe there's an invisible medium, ether, and light moves at a fixed speed through the ether. So if you're moving through the ether, you'd measure different speeds. Michelson-Morley experiment. They measured the speed of light in different directions as Earth moves through space. If there's an ether, the speed should be different depending on Earth's motion through it. Result: no difference. Light speed is the same in all directions. Always. The ether doesn't exist. Light just moves at a fixed speed. Period. No matter what. This broke physics. Completely broke it. The foundation of Newton's universe crumbled. If you've ever wondered how scientists deal with the impossible, stay with me. Because Einstein's solution is more shocking than the problem. Einstein figured out why. Einstein realizes the solution. And it's brutal. It destroys everything you think you know about reality. Time is not absolute. Simultaneity doesn't exist. Here's the thought experiment that kills the concept of now. You're standing on a train platform. A train passes by at constant speed. At the exact center of the train, a light bulb flashes. The light expands outward in all directions at the speed of light. From the perspective of someone on the train is stationary from their point of view. The light reaches the front and back of the train at the same time. Simultaneously, from your perspective on the platform, the train is moving forward, so when the light flashes, the back of the train is moving toward where the flash happened. The front of the train is moving away from where the flash happened. The light travels at the same speed in both directions, but it has less distance to cover to reach the back, because the back is moving toward it, and more distance to cover to reach the front, because the front is moving away. So from your perspective, the light hits the back first, then the front. Same event. Two observers. Different results. For the person on the train, the light hits front and back simultaneously. For you on the platform, it hits the back first, then the front. Who's right? Both. There is no actually simultaneous. Simultaneity is relative. It depends on your motion. Einstein's conclusion, there is no universal now. What is now for you is not now for someone moving relative to you. Think about what this means. Really think about it. Right now, someone in a spaceship moving away from Earth at high speed has a now that includes events in your past. Their present moment contains your yesterday. Someone moving toward Earth at high speed has a now that includes events in your future. Their present moment contains your tomorrow, not in their perception. In reality, according to the actual structure of space-time, this isn't philosophy. This is measurable, testable physics. We've tested it thousands of times. It's real, and it gets worse. So much worse. Time dilation. The faster you move through space, the slower time passes for you. Not seems to pass slower, actually passes slower. Measurably, undeniably. Hafele-Keating experiment. Scientists put atomic clocks, the most precise clocks humans have ever built, on commercial airliners. Flew them around the world, eastward and westward. Then compared them to atomic clocks that stayed on the ground. Result? The clocks on the planes showed less time had passed, nanoseconds less, tiny amounts, but measurably, undeniably less. Time literally passed slower for the moving clocks. This happens every day in GPS satellites. They're moving fast, and they're in weaker gravity. Time passes differently for them than for us on Earth. If GPS didn't account for time dilation, your navigation would be off by miles within a day. Every GPS device you use, every map on your phone, corrects for relativistic time dilation. It has to, or it wouldn't work. You rely on Einstein's relativity every time you use Google Maps. Particle accelerators. Muons. Subatomic particles created when cosmic rays hit the upper atmosphere. They decay fast. Their lifetime is 2.2 microseconds. That's it. At the speed they're traveling, they shouldn't reach the ground before decaying. The distance is too far. They should disintegrate in the upper atmosphere. But they do reach the ground. We detect them constantly. Why? Because, from our perspective, time is passing slower for them. They're moving so fast that their internal clock ticks slower, so they live longer from our perspective. From the muon's perspective, time is passing normally, but space is contracted. The distance to the ground is shorter. Either way, relativity makes the impossible possible, and we measure it every day. Here's the classic example. Two twins. One stays on Earth. One gets in a spaceship and travels at 99.9% the speed of light for what feels like 5 years, then turns around and comes back. When the traveling twin returns, 50 years have passed on Earth. The twin who stayed has aged 50 years. Gray hair, wrinkles, maybe even died of old age. The traveling twin, aged 5 years, still young. This is not science fiction. This is real physics. We've tested it with atomic clocks, particles, everything. Time does not pass at the same rate for everyone. If this is breaking your brain, hit that like button, because we're about to go even deeper.
So if time is different for different observers, if now is different depending on your motion, what does that mean for the nature of time itself? Feynman and Einstein had an answer, and it's the most disturbing answer you can imagine. Spacetime is a four-dimensional structure, 3 dimensions of space, length, width, height, 1 dimension of time. But time is not fundamentally different from space. It's just another dimension. You have a position in space and a position in time. Together, that's your location in space-time. Now here's the key insight, the one that destroys everything. If I hand you a map, all the locations on the map exist simultaneously. New York and Los Angeles both exist on the map at the same time. The map doesn't flow from one city to another. All cities exist. Right now. On the map. Space-time is like that. All locations in time exist simultaneously. The moment dinosaurs roam the Earth exists. This moment exists. The moment the sun expands into a red giant and consumes the Earth exists. Not existed, or will exist, exists. Right now. In the four-dimensional structure of space-time, this is called the block universe, or eternalism. And it's the direct, unavoidable consequence of Einstein's relativity. Here's why it has to be this way. If simultaneity is relative, if your now and my now are different, then there's no privileged moment that is the present. There's no universal slice of space-time that is right now for everyone. Every observer has a different now, and all those nows are equally valid. Einstein proved that. So all moments in time must exist equally. There's no moment that is more real than any other. Past, present, future, all equally real. All existing simultaneously in the four-dimensional structure. You think you're moving through time, but you're not. You're a four-dimensional object extended through space-time. Your past self exists. Right now. In another part of space-time. Your future self exists. Right now. In another part of space-time. What you call now is just which part of that four-dimensional object you're currently conscious of. Imagine a worm, but stretched through time. One end is you being born. The other end is you dying. And every moment in between is a slice of that worm. You are that entire worm. The four-dimensional worm. But your consciousness experiences one slice at a time. And that creates the illusion that you're moving through time. But you're not moving. The worm exists. All of it. Simultaneously. The universe is not a three-dimensional space evolving through time. The universe is a four-dimensional structure. Static. Eternal. Unchanging. Everything that has ever happened or ever will happen is already there. Carved into the structure of space-time. Permanent. Immutable. The flow of time is an illusion created by consciousness. So if time doesn't flow, why does it feel like it does? Why do you experience time moving forward? Feynman explained this. And the answer is entropy. You remember the past. You don't remember the future. That asymmetry makes it feel like time flows in one direction. But why that asymmetry? Why can you remember yesterday, but not tomorrow? The second law of thermodynamics. Entropy always increases. The universe started in a highly ordered state, low entropy, and has been becoming more disordered, higher entropy, ever since. Memories are physical records, patterns of neurons in your brain, chemical traces, physical structures. And records can only form if entropy is increasing. If the universe were running backward, decreasing in entropy, records would erase themselves. Memories would disappear as they form. So the direction you experience as time flowing forward is tied to the direction of increasing entropy. But entropy is not time. Entropy is a process happening in the time dimension. The entropy gradient creates an arrow, a direction. And that arrow is what makes you perceive time as flowing forward. But the flow itself is not in time. It's in your perception. Think of it like a movie reel. All the frames of the movie exist on the reel simultaneously. Frame 1, frame 1000, frame 5000, all there. The movie doesn't flow. The frames are all just there, existing. But when you watch the movie, you see one frame at a time, 24 frames per second. And that creates the illusion of motion, of flow, of things happening. But nothing is actually flowing. You're just viewing static images sequentially. Your consciousness is like that. Space-time is the movie reel. All moments exist. Your consciousness experiences them one at a time. And that creates the illusion of time flowing. But space-time itself is static. All moments exist simultaneously. Your consciousness just experiences them sequentially. The flow is in you, not in reality. So what does this actually mean? What are the real implications of living in a block universe where time doesn't flow? It means the moment you were born exists right now, not as a memory, as actual reality in another part of space-time. It means the moment you die exists right now, not as a future possibility, as actual reality, already there, already happened, already carved into the structure. Everything you regret doing, everything you're proud of, every embarrassment, every triumph, every mistake, every victory, all of it exists, permanently, eternally, carved into the structure of space-time. You can't change it, because change requires time to flow. But time doesn't flow. The structure just is. Static. Eternal. Does this mean you have no free will? If the future already exists, Are your choices predetermined? Is everything you'll ever do already decided? Feynman would say, you're asking the wrong question. Free will and predetermined are concepts that assume time flows. They assume there's a present moment where you make a choice, and then a future that results from that choice. But if time doesn't flow, if all moments exist simultaneously, then the entire structure, including all your choices, just is. You don't make choices in time. You are a four-dimensional pattern in space-time, and that pattern includes all your choices. They're part of what you are, part of your shape in space-time. Is that free will? Is that determinism? Maybe the question doesn't make sense in a block universe. What Feynman taught is this: don't ask what should I believe about time, ask what does the evidence tell us. And the evidence is clear, brutally clear. Time dilation is real. We measure it every day. Simultaneity is relative. We've tested it thousands of times. Space-time is four-dimensional. Einstein proved it mathematically, and experiments confirmed it. And the consequences, the block universe, the non-existence of now, the illusion of flow, follow directly from that evidence. Unavoidably, inescapably. You don't have to like it. The universe doesn't care what you like. The universe doesn't care what's comfortable or intuitive or easy to accept. But you can't deny it, because it's true. The math works. The experiments confirm it. Reality is what it is. Remember at the beginning, I told you to look at your watch? To note the time? That moment you experienced as now? It's frozen in space-time. Forever. Eternally. Along with every other moment of your life. All existing simultaneously in a static, eternal, four-dimensional structure. Time doesn't flow. It never did. You just experience it that way. And now you know why. Your consciousness moves through space-time, experiencing one moment at a time. And entropy creates the arrow, the direction, the asymmetry that makes it feel like time flows forward. But the flow is an illusion. A beautiful, persistent, unavoidable illusion, created by the way consciousness interacts with the structure of space-time. The past exists, the present exists, the future exists, all of them, right now, simultaneously, eternally. And you are not a three-dimensional object moving through time. You are a four-dimensional structure extended through space-time, a space-time worm, and every moment of your life is a slice of that structure. That's what Feynman taught us. That's what Einstein revealed. That's what the universe actually is. If this changed how you see reality, make sure you subscribe, because next week, we're going even deeper into Feynman's physics. If time doesn't flow, and the future exists, what does that mean for quantum mechanics? For the measurement problem? For the nature of reality itself? And if your brain is exploding right now, good. Leave a comment telling me, if the future already exists, do you have free will? I read every single comment. Thanks for watching. And remember, the moment you're experiencing right now, it exists forever, along with every other moment. Time doesn't flow. You just experience it that way. See you in the next one.